that, we'll watch out for some of these stocks like Vedanta as well today. Morgan Stanley has initiated coverage on Vedanta with a target price of 333 and the current market price is around 250 or so. So let's see whether there's more steam in some of these metal names. But Mayuresh Joshi joins in now from Angel Broking to talk about some of these fundamental ideas. Mayuresh, we've seen a bit of a sell-off in the metal names over the last couple of days. Would you use this as an opportunity to buy any of them?
Morning, Sonia. Again, I think you are all going to see this disparity happening in terms of how the demand-supply dynamics pan out and how inventory levels start stacking up. But largely, again, I think as our take goes, aluminium is one commodity which we feel that for the better part for this fiscal as well should largely remain in a deficit mode. Having said that, Hindalco is one stock that I've liked. It has gone through a huge commodity cycle upturn of its own. But largely, if you look at the dynamics, Novelis has been doing exceedingly well. Management is extremely confident in terms of the free cash flows of $350 million coming through in the coming fiscal. They've got a capex program of $250 million. Top that up with the debt financing of $1.8 billion that they've done to the earlier $2.5 billion. So that entails a huge amount of interest cost savings, specifically on its overseas debt that they have taken. Yes, there is some amount of headwinds as far as the cans business goes. But again, as the auto lines are getting commissioned, the auto proportion as a percentage of its overall top line for Novelis should be close to 25% over the next few quarters, which is going to be margin accretive. For the domestic side of the business, Sonia, again, with accessibility to local coking coal and bauxite mines, the operational costs have become far more reasonable, and with their smelting operation running at full capacity, my own sense is that as realizations stable over the next few weeks, the kind of contribution that it can have on both businesses, both Novelis and the domestic one, on the EBITDA front can be quite substantial. So if I have to pick and choose, Hindalco is something that I've liked. I continue liking that, but in a staggered manner over the next few weeks is how long-term investors can look at this stock.
Mayuresh, good morning. Be that as it may, what's the mood on dealing rooms? Are people waiting to go long after the exit polls? Can it have a very big impact? What's the chatter?
So, Lata, again, I think as far as the exit polls are concerned, I think there are three scenarios that dealing rooms are panning out with. I think the street is going with a BJP victory outright. So I think the markets are largely factoring that in. But let's look at the flip side. If the majority does not come through for BJP in a key state like Uttar Pradesh, and if the loss of seats is quite substantial, you might see a sell-off in the markets. But again, I've been speaking to a lot of people. If the margin of loss is not that substantial, you might just have a bump down in the markets, but then the recovery can be equally sharp. So my own sense is that the third option is what people are looking at. They're not looking at a substantial loss for BJP. I think even if the loss does come through, and if it comes through with a very marginal margin, I think the street might very well accept that. So again, I think it might be a bump down if one really sees the flip side, because the street is going with the outright BJP victory. But again, if the margin of loss is very, very minimal, I think the bump down will be largely bought into very, very quickly, and the markets will rebound, in my opinion.
Okay, well, just stay on, Mayuresh. Let's do one thing. Let's also get you some ideas on how to trade this morning onto our bullseye corner. welcome back to the show. We have a couple of minutes before the pre-opening rates kick in, so let's get some more strategies out of the way. Vinod, anything else on your list that you would like to either trade on the upside or downside? And also wanted your views on Bharat Financial, because that was a big stock that moved yesterday on, of course, speculations of a merger, etc. How would you move on that?
Yeah, on that I don't have a strategy, because essentially you have a fundamental reason when the company has guided that we are going to have a lot of bad debts on hand. So I'm not taking a cue on that, but I'm looking at Bajaj Finance as where I'm buying the 1050 call at around 44, which had closed around 52, stop loss at 38 and a target around 55. On the flip side, I'm taking a put option in REC at around 150 put, where at around 3.25, stop loss at 2 and a target around 5.5 in this. But overall, just to tell you that the sentiment in the retail segment is pretty good. Looking at the IPOs, the people are not paying attention to the secondary market, just paying attention to the IPOs. And our sense is that once this level of 9,000, 8,900, whatever is crossed, after that there is a good amount of let's say short covering which will happen, and that is before the US hikes. So US hike will be only on the 15th, which we will discount on the 16th. So the markets have still a full day to play, just because or rather 14th and 15th, 2 days to play just on the UP elections.
Okay, point taken. Ashwini, I wanted your thoughts on NBFCs. Of course, Bharat Financial is news driven, but others have also started to make a move. L&T Finance in particular has been moving up.
See, the smaller ones like Edelweiss, L&T Finance, they look the best. I think Bajaj FinServ has also corrected. So overall, this is an NBFC bull market. So each time they correct for a reason or without a reason, you should get long on them.
Okay, I also wanted Capital First in the same. You didn't include that, but where does that stand?
See, basically anything that is remotely close to an NBFC is doing well. So even Capital First, people can buy, and they have lots of upside, possibly in the range of 25 to 40% on each one of them once the market breaks out of 9,000.
Mayuresh, would you buy any paint companies like Asian Paints because of the fall that we've seen in crude?
So again, Sonia, I think declines is the way that I look forward to it. And again, with the entire remonetization effect still taking place, the kind of volume growth estimates that one really had built in for the second half of this fiscal has got muted down. But again, I think the recovery can be equally sharp from the first half of FY18, largely to do with the kind of repainting demand that is expected to come through, specifically from semi-urban and rural areas. Again, I think the Finance Commission recommendations is one part of the entire exercise, but with a good Rabi output coming through, and once those realizations start coming through on the rural side, I think the discretionary spending will be quite large. So again, I think before the monsoon start, I think a lot of repainting or pre-painting demand can probably come through, and that can drive volume growth from the first quarter of FY18. So again, I think expecting soft numbers to probably come through for Q4. Yes, there has been input cost inflation coming through for a lot of these paint companies, with titanium dioxide prices going up and margins probably getting constrained. But the leverage will only come as volumes pick up, which I see happening from the first half. So yes, I think I maintain a positive view, stay with the market leader like an Asian Paints, but I think declines is the way that I look at the stock.
Okay, well, the market rates are not worth reading now, because they're, for one thing, divergent. Nifty up 1.4 and Sensex down 0.1. So we'll have to just wait and allow the markets to settle down. Rupee has been strong, I think 66, 69 when we went to bed yesterday, and I would assume that it would be, it's a bit of weakness that you're seeing in the rupee.
Yeah, I think Dr. Reddy's could be the stock to watch today. Of course, the rates would settle. It should not be down 10%, right. But because the ADR is already showing you that maybe 2 to 3% cut is something that you can expect. But you know what? My eyes are focused on all the oil users. like aviation, oil marketing companies, paint companies. These are some of the stocks that I'll be watching out for. So let's see how these stocks are reacting. Some of them are not active in pre-open, but of course rates will tickle in. And of course L&T Finance Holdings is looking strong in pre-open.
And also, after that super subscription we've got so far in Avenue Supermart, you continue to have action in the retail space. So V-Mart was up 20% during closing bell yesterday. In pre-opening, V-Mart is up an additional 4.5 to 5%. So looking pretty good over there. And a couple of other stocks, Bharat Financial, yesterday there was, by the end of trade, there was so much buying in that stock. Today that stock has opened with just a marginal amount of downtick. But more opinion coming in, Lata?
Oh yes, actually we are now being joined by Sunil Singhania, the CIO Equity Investment at Reliance Mutual Fund. Well, we are counting down to the election results.
Okay, Sunil, thanks a lot for that quick thought. So UP election is of course the most important one. But let's discuss one more stock. It's a big blow to Dr. Reddy's. It's received 13 observations from the US FDA. Vishal Manchanda now joins us from Nirmal Bang. Vishal, good morning. So do you think the stock derates from here, or is most of the damage in the price? How would you react to the news?
I think whether or not the stock is de-risked would depend on two things. One is the nature of observations that Dr. Reddy has received and the future filings that they have from this plant, basically. From an existing revenue perspective, I think they are largely de-risked because the two large products that they do from this plant are Vidaza and Desitabine. So these products, they also have a partner facility where they outsource from. So largely the existing revenues remain de-risked. The future filings is what we need to understand.
But the possibility of a delay of the Gleevec generic, won't that be something that could worry you?
Gleevec largely actually is not a very big opportunity now. They already getting delayed. So I don't think Gleevec was a large opportunity because we'll eventually see other players too getting into the market for Gleevec. It will be a competitive space this year.
So
it wasn't a large opportunity, I would say.
Okay. So at the moment, how are you approaching the stock? Are you changing any of its P&L expectations at all, or is this just a sentiment blow? Do you stay with the stock?
I would stay with the stock. I would wait for understanding the nature of the observation. So what these actually mean in terms of whether they would need to continue with a corrective action plan, or would it mean an probable import alert? So we await for clarity on that line, and also I also get to also understand from the company on the future filings they have. But our sense is that they would not have a number of future filings from this plant because this is a cytotoxic oncology plant, and there aren't many oncology patent expiries around the corner. The only one we know in FY18 would be Velcade, where Dr. Reddy would be participating, and we believe this would be a miss for them if things don't get through.
But okay, you said that you will stay with the stock, but do you think in the near term the upside for the stock could be capped purely because the timeline for a final resolution could be long drawn because of how many observations there are?
I won't say the upside would be capped because there are about 15 plus approvals that the company is expecting in FY18. So a couple of them would probably be from this plant, but there are other approvals too that can take the stock price up from here.
No, but generally, Vishal, the news from US is that President Trump wants the Medicare, the state-owned Medicare unit to directly negotiate with buyers, and we understand that will mean lower pharma prices. So generally, I mean, what is the upside for this, and are there any buys for you now in pharma?
So largely, if you look at the base business of companies, they will continue to be on so it will continue to face pressure. So the US business will continue to face pressure. But what we need to understand is there are technically complex products that companies have filed for, and like even an approval of couple of these would mean an incremental $100-200 million in revenues, which actually lift the number significantly from here on. So, but the predictability in terms of on when these technically complex products would come through is a challenge because US FDA has been consistently delaying the approval timelines here.
Okay, Vishal, fair point. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Dr. Reddy's is down 3% in pre-open, but it's not the biggest loser, which actually is GAIL, down 3.5%. Pre-open rates have settled actually, and the cuts are nowhere near what the SGX Nifty is indicating. But SGX Nifty normally gets it more right than the pre-open. Ashwini, what would be the first trade if it opens below yesterday's low? I think it was 88.95 thereabout yesterday's low. If it opens below that, what's the trade?
See, you will not try to trade this like a trend. What you'll try to do is, see at the boundaries what happens. If the fall stops at the boundaries, then you want to take the other side. And as far as 914 is concerned, you'd probably still go with Jet Airways, although it's in a ban. Get your hands on the cash stock, and that's a buy with a stop of 445, target of 470.
Okay, Ashwini, just stay on. We are coming to you with more questions. Let's give you some information for you viewers. There is a big exclusive coming your way. Our corporate editor Varinder Bansal caught up with Future Group's Kishore Biani to talk about all things retail. The important reason for this conversation also being that there is a huge retail stock that is about to be listed, and that's made all retail stocks a talking point. Here's a snippet of that conversation. It's a teaser. The full film is later on in the day.
When you get successful too early, you get little heady, and then you want to do too many things. So I think we went into too many things. So that was the first lesson I've learned, that concentrate on your core business. So now we have defined food and fashion is going to be our core business. Secondly was on a level of growth one can do. I think in India, sometimes when you try to grow much more faster than what you can handle, that's not a good thing. Third thing, we have realized that you can't grow only by debt. Your balance sheet has to be stronger, and you have to grow by your cash flows.
Yes.
So I think we have learned a lot of lessons. Besides that, there are multiple mistakes we would have made, and that's on the business front. Every day teaches you something.
That's a candid view, and stay tuned to CNBC TV to get more of those candid views from the Future Group's head honcho in just a while.
Okay, pre-opening rates have settled flat. Now on GAIL, it's down 3% because it goes ex-bonus today. So that's the technical adjustment there. Dr. Reddy's is still your big loser, down about 3% or so. But on the upside, all the crude-related stocks are doing pretty well. BPCL, Asian Paints, Jet Airways are all up and about. Sudarshan, I wanted your thoughts on the banks, because the two big banks that have been hitting new highs, Yes Bank, IndusInd Bank. Any further traction that you see here?
Well, yes Bank was in my buy list, so that there's a lot of traction there. It's worth buying for a trade, actually for a positional idea also. Be long in it.
Okay, Mitesh, any tire stock that you would want to buy right now? You were recommending a couple of them over the last week.
Yeah, in fact, I had a conditional buy on CEAT. That didn't happen. I would want to see the stock get past 1180-85 zone. The other one which I like is MRF. I think it's been very quiet and very sideways. But again, I think, I would want to see the stock start getting past 52,400 to give some kind of a buy signal.
Okay, we haven't spoken about Reliance in a while. Ashwini, is there a trade on that stock?
See, it's 200 points higher than where it was, I think, a couple of months back. Nothing grows to the sky, and now, fresh buying at this level probably isn't justified. You need to wait for some sort of cool off, sideways move, and they'll come. Maybe back towards 1230, 1250. That would be a good time to get into Reliance.
A quick word on Motherson, Sumi. That one seems to have resumed its uptrend over the last few days. Ashwini?
See, Motherson, and in fact, I have Sundaram Fastener also. All of these auto ancillary plays are looking good. Motherson finally is holding on to 350. So it is on towards, the 400, 420 zone, and basically coming out of a long, 2-3 year type consolidation. So this time if we get past 350, we will go further.
Okay. Well, at the moment, let's just concentrate on the Nifty, which is going rapidly towards the 8,900 mark, 0.25% lower. It's not as bad as the SGX Nifty indicated, but still it's a 0.25% down. Sensex as well down in equal measure. and the Bank Nifty a little more than the others, just about 0.3% lower. Mid caps as well lower, so it's across the board a little bit of red rather than green on the screen. Quickly, the stock that we need to look at is Dr. Reddy's. Actually, it's not the biggest loser, or is it? Yeah, it is. Losing about 2.7, but GAIL continues. GAIL actually is just technical. It's a ex-bonus date for...
bonus is down because we've adjusted for the bonus price. So
Okay.
what would have happened today was that bonus stripping would have happened. So it's still down. I mean, despite
So that does take the cream in terms of profit taking, but Dr. Reddy's is now 2.8 down. It's not all hell breaking loose, but nevertheless that disappointment is being expressed. Among others, ONGC, and that's an expected short given that crude prices have fallen a little seminally. You should expect ONGC to take it on the chin. The two IT stocks, Wipro and Infosys, are among the others who are falling. Cadila, Cipla, so actually the drug stocks are also reacting to the Trump news that Medicare administration in the US are likely to beat down the prices. So that's having an impact on the other pharma stocks as well. So now what's in the green? The beneficiaries of lower crude prices, BPCL up 0.6. Among others, Asian Paints is also up about 0.5%. Sun Pharma has escaped the bruises, it's up 0.6. Then the auto stocks, Maruti, Tata Motors, Hero Moto are all up in the green, DVR included, about 0.25%. IndusInd Bank is still up 0.2. Those IndusInd and Bharat Financial continue to get buffeted by rumors of people walking away from the deal, rumors of the two walking towards the deal. So those stocks are a little busy in that kind of chatter. But now the Nifty's kind of come back. It's actually hardly down. It's just down about 12 points. So, well, at 8,900, a significant amount of buying. It looks like a fairly flat start to the index itself, and a very good tussle between bulls and bears there.
Yes, flat for the mid-caps too. So no major movement in the headline index for now. The market breadth is in favor of declines. So there's a bit of trepidation there. Just keep an eye out on that. The space to be in, the trading flavor of the day is sugar. So Shri Renuka, Bajaj, Hindustan are all higher by about 2 to 3.5%. Volumes are picking up in that space. The other space to be in is some of these, oil-related companies. So Jet Airways is up about 0.3%. Let's take a quick check on how SpiceJet and Interglobe are reacting to that additional ATF cut that we've seen from the Rajasthan government on regional connectivity routes. Some minor upside is what you're seeing, but not too much really at the moment. Bharat Financial, the speculation of the merger continues to keep the stock very active. So that stock is up another 0.6%. V-Mart Retail has hit a new high today yet again. So after that 20% up move yesterday, V-Mart Retail started off on the front foot, but now maybe some profit taking coming in over there. Some more stocks, JP Group stocks are also moving up higher. So JP Infra is up in the green. Keep an eye out on Edelweiss. Day after day, there's been volume and price action on the upside there. So Edelweiss is another stock, now 137 rupees on that particular counter. On the downside, Tata Tele is down, but it's an 8 rupee stock, so penny stock move there. Future consumers coming in for some profit taking this morning. So is Relcom, down almost about 0.8%. But largely just a bit choppy, Anuj. The market breadth though is in favor of declines.
Yeah, but that's been the case for the last 2 or 3 days, Sonia. I think the market psychology is playing out right now. Not too many would want to take aggressive shots ahead of maybe exit polls, because otherwise in this kind of global context, maybe, and with the SGX Nifty also down so much, you could have seen a worse opening. But the fact is that could be playing at the back of the mind for traders. Bank Nifty actually is now beginning to recover. Ashwani, nowhere near the kind of open that SGX Nifty indicated, which was 50 points gap down, just about 13 points on the Nifty. And in fact, Bank Nifty could break into the green at any point. What's the first trade now?
See, the trade is that you have to wait for the boundaries. Just trading in between even a 100-point range is likely to create trouble, because what is up right now can be down 2 hours later. But overall, only 3 sectors are in the positive, while all others are in the negative. So I wouldn't go by with this first couple of minutes worth of action. And you have these niche spaces, maybe a Dish TV or HPCL, Jet Airways, Edelweiss, but big stocks are facing some selling, like Axis Bank or HDFC. So I would like to look at what the FII dominated stocks do, because they tend to work more on global cues.
Okay. Well, there is patent bad news in Dr. Reddy's, and of course, generally in the drug stocks itself. Sudarshan, any shorts opening up?
Well, actually, the shorts are opening up in Dr. Reddy, the name you suggested just now. It's now breaking into new lows, and that's always a sign that worse is going to come. But beyond that, I'm not a big fan of shorting in this market. You can avoid going long, but be a reluctant short seller.
Okay, just one more stock I wanted to point out. Dish TV actually is now the top F&O gainer, 2.5% higher on that. So some fresh news on that Videocon merger. So Dish TV is up 2.5%. Mitesh, any thoughts on this stock or any other stock?
In fact, I've been liking Dish TV a lot. I think it's gone into an uptrend which should see it head towards 103, 104. So we're practically there. But I think the next set of targets come at about 113. And there's a good chance that we'll eventually do that once we get past this 103, 104 zones. I think still a good stock if somebody wants to, do a positional trade. Buy the current levels. Any dips of about 2-3 rupees should add more over there. Keep a stop below 96. And I think 113 is what I would look for as we approach the end of the March.
Okay, some paint stocks are also looking good. So apart from Asian Paints, Berger Paints has moved up higher, up almost about 1% in trade at the moment. And from the auto ancillaries, Minda Industries continues to power ahead. By the way, Dr. Reddy's has hit a fresh 52-week low today, and it has now lost almost 20% since the highs of November. So it's been a significant downtick that Dr. Reddy's has seen. But before we go across to our next guest, just a quick word, Ashwini, from your end on some of these the non-index large caps that have been doing pretty well. Berger Paints is doing well today. You have stocks like Minda Industries, Oberoi Realty, Mindtree that have all started to spike up. Anything that interests you there?
Berger Paints is quite sideways, so no great trend out there, and we have to see whether this crude fall is sustainable. I think Minda Industries is like your favorite portfolio stock, which you keep. I don't think it's a great trading stock, but Minda, probably you could look at levels closer to 625, 650. So these niche plays will work while the markets are range bound.
Ashwini, thanks a lot for your thoughts. Mitesh and Sudarshan as well, and Mayuresh, thanks a lot for taking us through market opening. Of course, we'll keep coming back to our technical experts. But for now, let's invite Andrew Holland.